Mr. Respected Coordinator and my fellow presenter and researcher, I am very glad today as my paper is accepted and I am having opportunity to present this. My title is Effectiveness of Information and Communication Technology ICT in Online Mathematics Teaching and Learning in Secondary School of Mizoram during COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm working with co-author Dr. L.THANGMAWIA and Professor Jamal Hussain of Mizoram University. Now I'll make a brief presentation on introduction, objective, literature review, methodology, result and discussion and conclusion. Now let me introduce Mizoram because in my topic there is Mizoram. Mizoram is one of the states in India. As you see, the large red arrow is pointing in the northeastern part of India. And it is a small state and which is having union territory in 1972 and state in 1987. Now, introductory part, ICT is a term for information technology, which may refer to all communication technology, as we all know. And in Mizoram, due to COVID-19 pandemic, schools have been totally closed, and so those who want to use ICT or not are forced to use if any available device in the local. Now, teaching and learning become a vital issue, and the government of Mizoram also formed online education committee under the chairmanship of the education secretary, Dr. L.THANGMAWIA IAS, to address the issue because most part of Mizoram are not covered in internet connection and most school and most teachers are not having ICT tools. So this study is necessary to give advice to the government and also to fill the gap in using ICT. Now, the objective of this study is to study the challenge faced by the student and teacher of Mizoram on teaching and learning of mathematics during COVID-19 pandemic, and to find out the effectiveness of ICT in mathematics teaching and learning at secondary level of education in Mizoram during COVID-19 pandemic. We choose secondary level of education because elementary, which is up to class 8, there is a wider or a wider coverage in the villages, and some villages in Mizoram do not have internet facilities, and secondary school more or less are having internet facilities or mobile signal. And the higher education like colleges and university are having good IT infrastructure and connectivity, so we are choosing secondary level of education. Now, literature review. Mizra et al. Professor Mizra is working in Mizoram University. They studied last year about primary school in Mizoram regarding online classes, and they found out that we are still experimenting and trying our best for our students in respect of primary school. And there are also many studies regarding this recently within 2020 and 2021. I'll not read out or say all due to the time constraint. But one review I want to mention today is that Chirinda and et al. This year studied and found out that digital learning environment will be with us forever. That's why my study is not only for COVID era, but after post-COVID also, this will be very important for the government and the teaching community. Now, methodology. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, field work is also not possible. So this research was a survey, which is descriptive in nature, and I use quantitative techniques for this. And the population included both secondaries and higher secondary school teachers. Secondary covered class 9 and 10 in Mizoram, and higher secondary class 11 and class 12. And opinion air were sent out to all the teachers, collecting their email and also requesting the education official to uh, circulate through their WhatsApp group and all available means, so that the targeted teacher may see the Google form. We use Google form for this, and uh, fortunately, 41.1%, 348 teachers out of 774 teachers responded our questionnaire. We are very glad, and so our data covers 41.1%, which is enough from our side for knowing the situation. Now, the first questionnaire is regarding the ICT and teacher. Uh, how many teachers are having their own computer and how many teachers are having smartphone like that. Smartphone, secondary teacher have nearly 100 percent of the secondary teacher are having smartphone. 99.7% of the secondary mathematics teacher are having smartphone, but only about half of the teacher, 55.5% are having their own computer. And 78.7% don't uh, uh, know how to use software for making e-content like PDF, slide, extra. And only 12.1% do not know how to use computer. And a majority of the teacher, 59.8, are using ready-made e-content. Those content which are already created by uh, other teachers or other educationists, they are not making their own content, but they are using ready-made content. And 77% can prepare their own teaching video like that. And so, uh, though there is many steps for improvement, but to some extent, the uh, compatibility of teacher is satisfactory to some extent in Mizoram. And anyway, teachers were very different in their position, in their compatibility to use ICT. But the main point here is that only 54% of the targeted teacher or those who responded are receiving ICT training. That means that ICT training is required for the future. And 53.2% of them are still found it difficult to use ICT. That means that there is some uh, step for improvement. Now, the majority of 77% of teachers who could even use their own, who can make their own teaching video, put the state in a good position. But we may also highlight that the teachers were in a very different position uh, when it comes to compatibility. And teaching during COVID-19 pandemic. The most interesting part is that I don't know the reason, but from the response we received, WhatsApp is mostly used during this COVID pandemic. 95.7% of the teachers are using WhatsApp for teaching and learning, content delivery. Zoom, the program we use this time also, only 31.3%, and Google Meet, 34.5%. Here, it is worrisome to find 25.9% still could not make uh, the online mode of teaching due to connectivity issue. So there is still uh, 1/4 problem in the connectivity issue. And although 70.1% of teachers were of the opinion that they could continue classes regularly, a, a larger section, 80.5, are still feeling that a COVID-19 pandemic was a huge barrier for the teaching of mathematics. Also, 94.5% of them gave homework through online mode. Only 65.2 of them enjoy using ICT. So there is also a great chance from the government side and other NGO that majority of the teachers are enjoying ICT. So there is a room for making some improvement through training program or any other suitable program. Now the last one, student ability to use ICT. Less than 50%, 44.3% of their students can access internet facility. That means that online teaching cannot be delivered to more than half of the students during this pandemic. This is a very important issue here. And 72.1% of the students know how to use email and WhatsApp and can attend online classes. But due to connectivity issue, there may be a problem as stated. Now, 30.7% of the teacher are thinking that students prefer online to offline classes, but the larger section of the students, 69.3, are not in favor of online classes in mathematics. These also agree with other studies in the research area. I'll not expand due to the time constraint. And 39.4% of them felt the student achievement improve after online classes, which is less than half of the student. And 85.6% of the mathematics teacher could see that the student did not understand mathematics through the online teaching. And my conclusion is that technology development in the Mizoram state was not at par with the need of the situation. Moreover, this parity was seen among rural and urban schools when it comes to the availability and facilities. If facilities is also there, connectivity problem is also there. And the next is that teacher had varying opinion regarding their own compatibility with ICT. Some of them can make their own e-content, but some cannot make their e-content. So ICT training is needed, and the government or other NGO who are working for this should plan accordingly. And for the last but not the least, students should be made ready to compete with the growing technology in this world and bring up the state, the Mizoram state, and our nation globally also to a situation where there will be constant flow between the technology and education, which is also visualized by the national policy, education policy of the Indian government 2020 itself. Thank you very much. These are my reference.
Thank you, Thangamawia, for your wonderful presentation.